Every day you will see pictures of tortoise, marine species, or let's say even the land species entangled in plastic. Somebody have there on the neck or
Yeah.
something like that. It's very sad.
Wildlife or wild animals, flora and fauna have not invented plastic. Human beings have invented plastic, and they are carrying all these to their pristine home, like forest area, wildlife area, national park. Those are the core area for their habitat.
Recently, you might have also seen this that tiger reserve, Tadoba Andhari Tiger Reserve. One
Yeah,
tiger walked
bottle.
into a water stream, picked up the plastic bottle, and then put it in front of a gypsy, clearly saying that this plastic belongs to you, not to us.
Yes, a service batchmate, Jyotsna. She was field director of Valley of Flower. I'm talking about 2002. It is very old, where this was not assumed a very significant challenge. She took this challenge because a lot of trekker used to go Valley of Flower, raincoat, all single-use plastic was dumped. So she took the challenge and she cleaned all the Valley of Flower in 3 years' time. And her effort has given the status of Valley of Flower to the World Heritage Site in 2003, 2004 and 5. So in 3 years' time, she could manage that area free from plastic.
Hello and welcome everyone to Planet vs. Plastics podcast series brought to you by Earth Day Network India. I'm Rumit, Walia, your host for this insightful journey into a world free from plastic pollution. Today's topic is something which will tell you that plastic does not just impact human lives, it impacts every other species on the planet. And the topic is wildlife versus plastics. And for that, we have a very special guest, Dr. Vidya Bhushan Kumar, who has worked his life in the wildlife with the wildlife. So let's welcome. But before we dive in, here's a quick reminder. The views expressed here are for general informational purposes, and we encourage you to do your own research. We're here to spark ideas, inspire change, and navigate the complexities of plastic pollution. So, welcome, Dr. Vidya Bhushan, for the podcast. Why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
Good morning, Mr. Walia. I'm Vidya Bhushan. I belong to Indian Forest Service, now a retired officer, but I have spent more than 33 years in the natural resource management, which includes our pristine forest, water, and other related sectors.
That we are covering today is wildlife versus plastics. So, when we say wildlife versus plastics, what does it mean basically for an experienced person like you?
Uh, Basically, plastic has not only affecting the wildlife, it is affecting the humankind on the planet. So that is the larger perspective we must understand. If human being has to sustain life on this planet, he has to guard himself and the wildlife also. Because wildlife, what is wildlife? Wildlife is basically life sustaining entity for the human being. Their future, their existence is very interlinked. And you have realized that plastic has assumed a catastrophic, you can say, one of the most challenging after the climate change on this planet. And if you also see the history, the plastic was invented for the benefit of the mankind in 1907. And more than 115 years, now it has basically assumed the proportion of choking all of us, not only humankind, but the wildlife also. If we see specifically the wildlife is being affected by the plastic through the use or being carried away by the human being. Wildlife or wild animals, flora and fauna have not invented plastic. Human beings have invented plastic, and they are carrying all these to their pristine home, like forest area, wildlife area, national park. Those are the core area for their habitat. So it has assumed a very major concern for all of us, including wildlife area.
That's very rightly you said, sir. The species have not invented plastic. The human species
Yeah,
have invented it. And
yeah,
it is so sad that we invented it as something miraculous product that it will solve all our problems, but rather than
yes,
solving our problems, it is getting becoming a problem for all the other species on the planet. I have seen like
very right.
every day you will see pictures of tortoise, marine species, or let's say even the land species entangled in plastic. Somebody have there on the neck or
Yeah.
something like that. It's very sad. But sir, there have been, I understand that now people are getting aware about it, they are being sensitized. And I heard this, also read this somewhere, that government has been also trying to put some guidelines on single use plastic ban in wildlife areas. So would you like to shed light if there has been some guidelines for Indian national parks, or let's say reserves, or in an international domain as well?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because India is one of the, you can say, pioneering country while removing plastics from our city life and from wildlife area. There is a plastic waste management rules in 2016 itself. And after that, then Government of India through Ministry of Environment and Forest had issued a guideline, a very comprehensive guideline in 2019, how to use single-use plastic in our forest area and specifically in the national park and sanctuary, which is the core habitat of our all wildlife area. And after that, 2019, then there is a gradual evolution in that management practices. In 2022, the government has banned 12 kinds of single-use plastics. That is a law now. Again, in 2023, March, they have issued a guideline regarding the extended uh, producer responsibility. That is a very unique concept in India. Now the government has come up with a very strict guideline that all three are responsible for till the use of their life cycle. If plastic is generated and it is being used and at the end time, so the producer, importer, and the brand owner all are responsible to ensure that it is being used, collected, and recycled. So that is a major breakthrough in our guideline. But I must also admit that after 2019 wildlife area guideline, ministry has targeted the 2025 most popular visited site, which is a project area site like Kanha, Sundarban, and other area. Those are most visited site to control the plastic zero tolerance in that area. So they have devised so many methods like imposing an environment cess, collection of bottle or any single-use plastic at the integrate itself, and so many other instruments are there. But still, there is a large gap between the policy formulation, promulgation, and the execution of those things. So that gap has to be filled by all of us.
That is very true. Like the gap is everywhere when we fight about this
Yeah,
plastic problem, but we only can solve this gap and fill this gap. And that's where the civil societies like the Network India and people like you who have been
yeah,
contributing to this cause comes into the picture. And I was talking to somebody as well about this, and they also mentioned the same thing, that rather than doing this blame game, blaming each other, this is a
mm,
responsibility of every stakeholder in this. When we
yeah,
say
mm,
plastic, it is in every aspect of our life, and somewhere somehow every day we have been using this. I mean, so very recently you might have also seen this, that in this tiger reserve, if I'm getting the name right,
mm,
Tadoba Andhari Tiger Reserve, one
yeah,
tiger walked
bottle.
into a water stream, picked up the plastic bottle, and then put it in front of a gypsy, clearly saying that this plastic belongs to you, not to us. So these have been challenges. I think now the species are also realizing that it is something which never belonged to the wildlife. It is coming from humans. So
Yes.
what are these challenges that you might have seen in these areas while your experience in field? And because ban is something one thing, but people
Mm,
regulating it from their side is a huge challenge
mm,
whenever we
mm,
talk about a plastic ban. So has there
yeah.
been another experiences like this in wildlife?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. There are so many. Just to give a perspective, I will say that if you see the our wildlife area, that is called protected area. There are four categories. One is the national park, one is the wildlife sanctuary, one is the community reserve, and fourth one is the conservation reserve. So all these makes a protected area, which is around 5% of the total geographical area. Forest area is around 21%. Okay. So if you see how this plastic are being brought to this area, whether it is a protected area or forest area, so there are mainly four players. One is the forest department itself, through its activity like raising of nursery. It used to be raised in the plastic bags in olden times,
Oh.
but now it has been banned. So there are certain activity of the forest department itself which may generate the plastic in the forest area. So that is the first actor. Second is your this forest area and protected area is encircled by the villagers. There are so many villages or settlements in and around the forest area. So they, through their daily usage, also generate plastic in the forest area. So that is the second actor. Third is the general visitor to the forest area. Because if you see the forest area, it is very typical in India that all the good forests are also having a very good religious sites. If you take a Sri Salem,
Yeah.
Tirupati, you name any enlightened, you can say the our religious places, they are always in the core or in the deep dense forest area because
Forest.
that was our natural heritage. People used to worship there, and some beliefs are associated with that. So those traditional pilgrims or visitors, they also generate a lot of plastics there. I have personally seen in Sri Salem, although they charge 100 rupees at the entry fee as an environmental cess, but people coming from other Maharashtra and other areas, they just bus stop there and they have their picnic, and the plastics are just thrown away. Monkeys and general fowl, they eat. So that is the general scene. So that is the third actor, the general visitor visiting the forest area. And the fourth category is ecotourism, where the very sensitive people visit. That is very small number, but they are already sensitized. So they take care of their pollution, whatever plastic should be left or not left. So they are very generally they are aware of that. So we have to devise methods different for all these four actors. So my first priority would be how to control the general visitor because they are the major polluter of our forest area.
Yes.
And second is the villagers. Villagers, there is no fault of the villagers. By their tradition, I've recently visited Great Himalayan National Park, which is in Manali.
Wow.
That is also a World Heritage Site. So I was nominated by Ministry as one of the evaluator because Ministry evaluates our forest area or protected area and give ranking, which is the best managed based on certain score. So I was doing that evaluation. When we went to the Tirthan Valley, this is one of the pristine forest or the natural area you can say there. The remotest villages I visited there, and there a lot of shops were there full of all plastics like chips, kurkure, gutka, all those things. So they consume for the daily use. They throw. They may also collect, but they are totally helpless how to dispose it of. Here comes the role of the government. We have to provide a alternative to reuse those things. How to dispose of them. So one part is sensitize them that this plastic should not go or cross the limit to the protected area, forest area. They should confine to the habitation area and how to reuse those things through the government support or financially sustainable support. So that is one example I can see in the Tirthan Valley. And during that evaluation, I have made it possible that one of the criteria for scoring should be how well managed our area or free from the plastic pollution. So if that is there, then we will give higher marks to that. So
That's
some
wonderful.
ranking, some incentive has to be there, because you are also aware that there is a blue tagging of all the beaches. There are 12 beaches in India which is blue tagged, and plastic pollution is one of the criteria. So similarly, if our protected area is also tagged zero plastic, or some grading or some certification is declared, or it is self-declared by the project park manager itself that my area is free from plastic. So it will be a very good initiative, and people will be, you can say, support that activity also. So there are a lot of possibilities of collaboration, of working together for this cause.
That's amazing, sir. How you mentioned that. I love these podcasts because I get all these solutions from the wonderful speakers that I have. And this is a very nice solution. And I think Earth Day Network India can play a vital role here. I mean,
Yeah,
we are having
definitely.
conversation also. So we have these ebooks already, like Protect Our Species, where people can read more about how the wildlife is there in the areas where we also used to be, as you mentioned. But these tagging system is very good, where we can recognize these forests as this forest has become plastic free or a star
Yeah.
forest or something. So it's wonderful, wonderful. And my next question, which will be my final question as well, you have posed a solution very nicely for the how the government and the forest and like civil societies like us can do. But what can we do for the people who go there? They, I mean, it's increasing day by day. Even I have witnessed when I go to treks into Himalayas and other national parks that people are just throwing it away. They don't want to take the responsibility that this is something not their home exactly. They can't throw it. So what should we do to sensitize people about wildlife, let's say, or the parks, let's say?
Mm.
Let's keep them as they are, not fill them with plastic. Otherwise every species will be at some point eating the plastic and will be ending up dead.
You have raised a very vital point. Then, because this comes under my fourth category, the ecotourism, where already people are slightly sensitized and motivated to visit the natural area. So they have got some affection and love for the wildlife. So just we have to amplify that, or resulting into action. How it can be done? So one solution, basically, wherever I visited, I give emphasis on the interpretation. If we enter into any forest area or a protected area, interpretation center should be there, where the important species, their value, their contribution to the humankind should be amplified, and how we can contribute to that. What are the do's and don'ts? So if we clearly mention that plastic is one of the major challenge for the existence of these animal where you are going to visit, so they will be sensitized before entering into the forest area. So, but generally, interpretation is not given very, I will say, due role in our so far whatever ecotourism policy is there. So, some souvenir shop will be at the end of the visit. So, they are generally at the end of everything, but it should be at before we enter into the forest area.
Yeah.
So, that is one. That is one. And second is this collection of whatever single-use plastic if you are carrying, either you should it should be tagged, some QR code should be given, and on return, if you are coming back, then some deposit has to be taken at the entry itself. If you are returning with all your plastic pollution, whatever essential is there, then you will be returned your security. Otherwise, you will be fined. So it depends upon your responsible behavior. That is another example I can say. Here I just remember recalling one of the example. My service batchmate, Jyotsna. She was field director of Valley of Flower. I am talking about 2002. It is very old. Where this was not assumed a very significant challenge. She took this challenge because a lot of trekker used to go Valley of Flower, raincoat, all single-use plastic was dumped. So she took the challenge and she cleaned all the Valley of Flower in 3 years' time.
Wow.
She collaborated with she constituted a local village committee, EDC, that is called Eco Development Committee, collaborated with the collector, transporter from Delhi, and she has millions of tons she has removed from Valley of Flower. And her effort has given the status of Valley of Flower to the World Heritage Site in 2003, 2004 and 5. So in 3 years' time, she could manage that area free from plastic. But I'm afraid, what is the present situation? We will we will be coming back to the same situation. Why? Because
Yeah.
the the rate of pollution is not matching with the rate of our action.
Yes.
And at last, I will say that everything boils down to our passion, compassion for the wildlife. If we love our nature, natural heritage, which include birds, animals, flower, everything, the small insect. So if we love them, how we can pollute them?
True.
So we have to raise question to ourselves also.
The pollution is going to increase every day, so we need to increase our act of green, our actions. And I think with that, it's a wrap for our podcast. Once again, thank you so much, Dr. Vidya, for coming and joining us, and uh, within this short time explaining everything about the ecosystem that we have. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes. And for the audience, until the next time, keep it clean, keep it green, and remember, every day is Earth Day.